Well, I was just checking out the rear brakes because they seem to have trouble coming on, and then once they're on, they stay on. And I found that the rear brake hose was completely blocked. Like, virtually nothing at all got through this at all. So it made a new hose. But I think the rear calipers are seized as well. But I'll get this on and flush a bit of fluid through and see what happens. Well, I'm under the back of the car now, and you can see the new hose just up there. Bit of a prick to get to, but at least that's done now. But yeah, let's see if I can get a shot of the rear brakes. Yeah, there's the rear calipers. Real fun to do, and as you can see, it's got mismatched discs. So it's had one new one put in there, and there's a original one there. So that's not very good. Well, let's see if I can get the brakes to actually work a bit better now. But I have a feeling I might have to take off these calipers. If I'm going to do that, might as well do the discs while they're off, because it's all a bit of a prick of a job. Well, I cleaned out the jar and flushed one of the calipers so far. As you can see, pretty horrible stuff came out. So I'd say the caliper's probably rusted up internally. Yeah. There's some chunks at the bottom of the jar. Now let's do the other side. Well, I've pulled the rear calipers off. I'm going to do at least that one disc, because that one's falling apart. That one over there is alright. They're just blankers, so the brake fluid doesn't all come out, because I took off the line clamp. You shouldn't leave hoses clamped. But yeah, that disc's alright, but we'll see what happens. This is old and tortured. But, man, those calipers were just totally seized on. Well, here's the handbrake and foot brake calipers. So, sent them off for reconditioning because they're just rock hard seized. Had to use a hammer and a crowbar just to get the pads out, so I could get them off the discs. So, yeah, nasty. Well, I got the new discs for it. Calipers recode with new stainless steel pistons, because all the old pistons were rusted. You can see this one's not too bad, but you got a bit of pitting there. I'll do a close-up of them all later. This is the original rotor that was on the driver's side, which actually had a hammer off. It was seized onto the diff. But you can see in places it was all coming apart. I'll also do a close-up of that later too. So it was all coming apart there, and I chipped it there, getting the pads out. So you did have one, I'll show later, a newer rotor like this one piece, but someone left an original on the other side. So now we're slowly getting there. Now here's a close-up of the pistons. You can see this one, chrome's coming off there and it's rusting. That's no good. It'll damage the seal when you push the piston in. This one's even worse. This one was actually stuck, seized in. They're all rooted. You can see the pitting on that one. So no wonder the brakes were seized on. That's no good. If we look at this rotor, you can see bits missing from it, which is not too uncommon for this style rotor. They kind of fall apart when they get to this age. Like this whole section here is about to come out, so that's well rooted. Well, here's the handbrake assemblies. So I've cleaned them up because they're absolutely filthy. But yeah, you can see that pad's falling apart. That one's alright, but low. That one's fallen off. that one's falling apart. So pop some new pads in there and grease the self-adjusters and everything and put them on. Well, there we go, I've recoded the handbrake calipers. So I've got new pads, cleaned up these are return springs as such. Yeah, it's like a spring fork. And I've set the correct dimensions so they slip in and everything lines up. And I've set this to the correct dimensions for installing it. Cleaned up the pins and ground the tips so they're easy to locate. Just got to go through the main caliper and then into that. So we've got it. Yeah, makes it a lot easier having a point on the end. And put some of this 1400 degrees Celsius grease, a little bit on each pin, just so it doesn't seize and helps it release properly, so it doesn't wear the pads away. Well, there we go, all the brakes are together. So the handbrake's on and working, the brakes are in and working. All looks pretty good. It's a fun job. I can show you with the camera. There's the bolts at the top and there's the spring. So that's why it's best to set everything up on the ground before you get underneath. Because where my head is, this is what I can see. So next will be bolt the drive shafts up. But first, this one's got a stiff uni joint. So it's got a bit of movement and it's stiff. This way is alright. So I'll see if I can get that freed up by pumping grease into it or moving it. Also it needs both trailing arms done. The bushes are stuffed up here. Yeah. And also needs the lower outer fulcrum pivot bearings done over there. Because that's screwed, it's all loose. There's a few other things that need doing. But we'll get there. And then once all the rear end's done and back together, I'll change the diff oil while I'm at it. I'll then proceed to do the front end. Because yeah, the front brakes are screwed as well.